50% of the men that got into that hospital were dying. Why? Florence Nightingale, very famous nurse, she was asked to go to Scutari. Scutari is the port where the wounded were being taken in the Crimean War. They were sailed down to the hospital in Scutari, and a war correspondent went to report on the war effort, and he was shocked what he saw in that hospital. 50% of the men that got into that hospital were dying. They had a better chance on the battlefront than they had in that hospital. So he wrote an article when he went back to London. Did we raise our young men for this? Well, the British people rose up. So the British government sent Florence Nightingale and 35 nurses over to Scutari. When she arrived, she was shocked. There was raw sewage in the corridors. She met a man who was still in his battle clothes 2 weeks after he'd been admitted. The doctors were not washing their hands between operations, but the doctor said to Florence, "You're not coming in here, this is men's business." She knew her limitations as a woman in 1854, so she contacted the British government. She said, "You need to send a sanitary commission over here to have a look at the situation." And they came, it was a crisis, and they found that the hospital, which had several stories, was built in a swamp. And there was a dead horse in the swamp, and a dead dog in the swamp, and the men were drinking the water out of that swamp. It's because of what Florence Nightingale did. Increase in hygiene, sanitation, nutrition. The Sanitary Commission got rid of the dead dog and the dead horse. They boiled the water, they got men to fix the drainage, and 1,200 new wounded men arrived in Scutari, and so the doctor said, "All right, you can come in." And the first thing she did was start scrubbing and cleaning. And when she went back to London, 14 months later, they hailed her as a heroine. She said, "I'm not a heroine. All I did was increase hygiene, sanitation, and nutrition." Let me show you a graph.